It's noon here in Lagos, Nigeria. Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Kaya Pikilu, but here are the big political stories we're tracking for you at this time. Well, justice is still a far reality for most Nigerians. That's the declaration from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, as he asks the judiciary to address issues of corruption, inefficiency, and undue influence. The Labour Party 2023 presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi addresses press conference, calls on wealthy Nigerians to join him in providing water and sanitation, while asking governments to cut waste and channel the funds into poverty alleviation. Bayelsa State Governor Oyedere announces the immediate ban on the collection of loans by local government councils in the state, as he says his government has saved over 2 billion naira for them to run their governments. Well, let's begin out of the country with the President Bola Tinubu, who has arrived the Netherlands on a state visit. The president, during his visit, is expected to engage high-level meetings with Dutch government officials and business leaders. The president will also engage in discussions around trade, investment, security cooperation, and cultural exchange. Well, the president is then expected to attend a special World Economic Forum meeting scheduled for April the 20th or 28th to the 29th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Well, back home, achieving a reduction in the time for adjudication of cases and a number of cases that get to the Supreme Court is the focus of the National Summit on Justice organized by the Ministry of Justice and the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, says the onus lies on judiciary to deliver justice to the people at all times, adding that justice is still a far reality for most Nigerians. Judicial officers, he says, must critically look at the legal framework and must be bold in their legislative reforms, as he adds that the judiciary must leverage on technology. It is very important to address the issues of corruption, the CJN says, as well as inefficiency and undue influence. In attendance at the event are Vice President Kashim Shettima, Chief Justice of Nigeria, who made those statements, of course, Justice Kayode Ariwola, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, the NBA President Yakubu Mekiao, and the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongbam-Mesem, amongst others. And now to the subnationals. The governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Oyedere, has announced a ban on the collection of loans by local council officers in the state. And instead, he says the reforms by his administration has led to the saving of 2.3 billion naira, which should save the LGs from being cash-strapped. Governor Diri disclosed this during the opening ceremony of an orientation program organized for newly elected local government chairmen, vice chairmen, councillors, and principal officers in Yenagoa, the state capital.
The reforms that I approved are: one, a complete ban on loans from any source by local government chairmen across Bayelsa State without the approval of the governor. Two, compulsory saving by every local government council, and division of balance after payment of salaries. So we divided that balance after payment of salaries to 60% and 40% respectively. Our councils now have, as it stands today, 2.3 billion naira as a result of all of the combination of the factors of reforms and proper supervision in the local government sector. So you are not actually coming to meet an indebted local government area.
Well, let's talk infrastructure now. The Minister of Power, Yahaya Bello, is blaming the current epileptic power supply on power sector operators. Well, he was speaking during a stakeholders dialogue in the nation's capital, Abuja, organized by the House Committee on Power, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, called for a more coordinated process of electricity tariff setting in the future.
Nigeria's migration to a multi-tier electricity market is in focus as the House of Representatives Committee on Power hosts a stakeholders interactive dialogue. The arrival of the Speaker of the House signals the commencement of the event. The Chairman, House Committee on Power, kickstarts the interaction and is followed by his counterpart in the Senate.
It has become necessary for stakeholders to address the envisaged challenges, which is thrown by challenges facing Nigeria, and to chart a course for seamless transition to a multi-tier electricity market in Nigeria.
I would simply say that this matter of power, I've been in this power committee in the Senate. This should be my 12th year as a member of the Committee on Power. Caller knows. And we seem to always come back to be doing the same thing.
The Minister of Power and the Vice President, who is represented, speak on the multi-tier market system and the new Electricity Act.
On my visit to some of these substations, I noticed the transformer installed in the 60s, carrying the logo of ECN over 50 years ago. How would that support the transmission sector? We lack adequate technology, we don't have SCADA, and there's also no backup or failover grid if anything happens to our national grid. These are the shortfalls in the transmission that we must fight. We have investment proposals for establishment of 3 gigawatts, which is 3,000 megawatts of solar energy source across the 25 states in the north and the southwest.
The wholesale structural shifts that the Electricity Act 2023 has amended and the associated constitutional amendment usher in means we need to double down on ensuring an orderly transition to a new national electricity market framework.
The event is formally declared open by the House Speaker, who outlines plans for a more coordinated process of tariff setting in the future.
I will sponsor a bill to provide administrative procedures that entrench proper consultation and legislative review of processes for tariff setting in Nigeria's electricity and other public services.
Interactions of this kind are expected to guide the House as it carries out its oversight functions to improve electricity supply in the country and expose any form of corruption in the power sector. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And now to a call from the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, who has been speaking on national issues, particularly the economy and the vulnerable in the society. Well, Mr. Peter Obi says, while it is imperative to solve the challenges of the present, it is more critical to plan for the future. Mr. Obi, who was addressing a press conference in the nation's capital, Abuja, is calling on the government at all levels to cut waste and channel the funds to pull people out of poverty by tackling the challenges in the education and the health sectors. He is also calling for those who are wealthy in Nigeria to join him in providing water and sanitation, which has led him to sinking boreholes in the north, with another to follow, and the donating of monies to the tune of 10 million naira to an Almajiri school. And he says he'll donate the same to 2 more schools. He is again reiterating his call for Quranic education to go side by side with Western education in the same classroom. Now, while all of that is playing out in the country, the political situation in Benue State is of concern, and that's in spite of several interventions and peace meetings by traditional rulers and other stakeholders. Well, it appears the camp of Governor Hyacinth Alia and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Sir George Akume, are still at loggerheads over the leadership of the party in the state. And there's been a consistent occupation of that secretariat by the police. And this afternoon, we'll speak with someone representing one of the parties within the party. We'll see. We're joined by the publicity secretary of APC in Benue State, Mr. Dan Ihomoni, joins us live from our Abuja studio. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you very much, Karolji.
Well, I don't know which other way to define it, really, because it's parties within a party at this point, and you'll expect that this should not be happening. Your party coasted to victory at the state and national level. So it's meant to be, okay, let's put the ranks together and work for the good of the state from the party. But it looks like that is not happening so far. And that's in spite of those resolutions which we saw come out of the meeting brokered by the traditional rulers. So speak to us today. What is really the bone of contention, Mr. Ihomoni?
Well, it's really a pity, but what we have in Benue are certain elements within the party who wants to balkanize the party, destabilize the party, and leave the party. If you know, before 2023, our party had only one House of Rep member. And we went into the 2023 elections, we worked hard, worked for the victory, and we were able to win 2 out of 3 senatorial seats, 10 out of 11. And we also won the governorship. But since we won these elections, there have been people within the system who are trying to destabilize the party. They started with the purported suspension of the state chairman of our party, which was done by a political appointee. You can link in our case to what having happened in Kano, where people who are not members of our party, claim that they suspended the national chairman of our party. But as well as we thank God that the national secretary of our party came out clearly, and gave direction that our chairman remains the bona fide chairman of our party. And of course, they went to court, and also the court gave us justice. The Benue State High Court gave us justice, and just 2 days ago, the substantive case was also struck out by the court. Of course, you also know that the governor claimed that certain stakeholders from Zone C, asked him to appoint an acting chairman, which he did, which is against the constitution of our party. And of course, the court has cleared that matter. But these people have continued to try to destabilize our party. But of course, party members in the state remain deterred. We are focused, and we must continue to put our party on the right path. Not long ago, you heard about how. I can hear you.
Yeah, you can land on that thought. Not long ago.
And they've been the people and the government and these people have been using various means to come against the party. They attack our secretariat at will. They use thugs to stop us from carrying out our legitimate duties at the secretariat. And I believe that the national secretary of our party will act. If not, one day somebody will wake up and say that from another party and say that he has suspended the president of our dear country from the party.
Right. Well,
if care is not taken.
At this rate, really, you can't rule out anything. We've seen very interesting things play out. Just to say that we've also reached out. We had reached out to the representative of the other party within the party, loyal to Governor Hyacinth Alia, but of course, we didn't get any representation. But we have to discuss these issues. And I'd like to refer to that meeting of April the 1st. It was an emergency meeting at the Tortive Palace Boko. And what came out of that meeting were some sort of resolutions, it would seem. And that particular meeting was well attended, even though each of the major parties brought one representative to accompany them. And there were resolutions that were reached from that meeting. And I know you are aware of what came out of that meeting. If you could rate the, would I say the implementation from 1 to 10, a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being obviously not implemented and 10 being well implemented, how would you rate it and what would you say is outstanding?
As a party, we welcome that move by His Royal Highness Chief James Yahaya Bello as a father, in our state, and we welcomed it. But in terms of implementation, let me tell you very that it's not even 1% has been implemented. If you recall, the chief of staff to Governor Hassan earlier, Ambopo Obiam, at 2 days after, at a burial ceremony in Vanica, said that the party is divided into two, and if you do not follow, anybody who does not follow the governor, he becomes an enemy of them, and that they even prefer people from the PDP to even members of our party who have suffered to put the elected governor on the seat. And so from the very first day, the chief of staff of the governor shredded whatever peace pact that the two started for peace to return to our party.
You know what concerns me, Mr. Holman, is the fact that we can talk about other states that these things are playing out in, and you wonder that in 2024, when we have other developmental challenges, we'll have really moved beyond this battle between the current governor and perhaps a former governor who has a role to play at the national level or has some office at the national level. Really, we should be gone past all of this. But let's go back to the basics, since this is where we're at now. Who would you say is the leader of the party in the state?
The leader of the party in the state is the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Senator Dr. George Akume, no doubt about it. He has held this party for long together. Of course, in our party, the constitution of the APC is different from that of the PDP. For our party, the leader of the party is anybody who can galvanize members of the party, sponsor the party, and put the party together. Members of our party choose their own leader. It is not, there's no space in our constitution where I say that this certain person is the leader. But of course, in the PDP, once you become a governor, you become the leader of the party. And so that's sometimes people try to mix the two. Our party is very clear that whoever the members of our party believe in, whoever they trust that has been put together as part of the party, becomes the leader of the party. And Senator George Akume has done this over the years.
So it's quite vague when you say whoever has been able to pull together the party, sponsor the party, and the rest. Some will easily say, well, since the governor is the one on ground in the party, he is the most powerful in the state at this point, is the #1 citizen of the state, then he naturally should be the leader of the party.
That is not what our constitution says. In our constitution, members of the party, they choose the leader. Don't forget that the governor of our state, His Excellency Dr. Hassan earlier, is a new entrance into our party. He's barely 1 year in our party. And so, of course, he might not have known, the rudiments or people within the system also. And so there is this leader who has kept this party going from day one. And members of the party trust him. And in fact, he was the captain that led this ship into victory. The victory we got in Benue, if not for this man, that victory would have come to pass. It is because the people of Benue trust him and they believe in him that if he brings somebody, the person will perform. The person will develop because they know that he loves the state. And so it is not because of this single man that most of our stakeholders, most of our party leaders, joined the APC.
All right. So I know that people have called on President Tinubu to wade into this. Whether or not he will is another thing entirely. We saw what played out in Rivers State and how things are still playing out right now, even though the president intervened. So you say that your group is being denied access to the party secretariat. And I imagine that without the party secretariat, without you meeting, you haven't really achieved much of recent. So how is that swinging, really? What is your next line of action? Because you are claiming legitimacy. The other group is also claiming legitimacy, and they have access to the state secretariat.
Let me make it very clear that we were elected for a tenure of 4 years, just like any other person was elected, the governor and all the House of Rep members and so, were elected for a tenure of 4 years. And so there is no other escort of the party in the state than the one led by our chairman, Comrade Austin Agada. And the new secretary of our party have also, come out clear on this matter. And so there are no two ways about it. There's nowhere a governor can just wake up or somebody can just wake up and appoint escort members of the party. The constitution of our party is very clear. Our party, the APC, has rules and procedures for everything that is done within the party. And so it's laughable when somebody says that there's another escort. There's none. Even the courts are clear on this.
Well, it's quite interesting what is playing out, really. And I was asking that what is the next line of action for you if you're still being denied? We saw what played out at the weekend. So what is the next line of action for you? You seem to have the federal might. That is quite clear. But then when it comes to the politics of the state,
for us,
it's quite different. So what's next?
For us, we are not deterred. We are going to our secretary to carry out our legislative job. And we have rights under the law to access our offices and carry out our job.
But you're currently in Abuja, Mr. Ehoman. So how are you going back to the States? What is going to be different this time around? We don't want violence, and that's why I'm asking this question.
I just visited Abuja. I'm in Benue. I just visited Abuja. Benue is my state. Nobody can push me away from that state. That is where I belong, and my office is there. I'm a free citizen of the state, and I stay in Benue. The only thing is that I've not had access to my office. And I want to call on the IG, the Inspector General of Police, to make provision to secure us because we are normal citizens and should be able to have our access to our offices and do our job.
Okay, I think we'll just keep watching as things play out. And again, to reiterate that now is not the time for violence. There's enough security challenges in Benue State to contend with. And having this one on the political scale is not something we want at all. But we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Dan Iomu, as APC Publicity Secretary in Benue State. Of course, that's of the Mr. Austin Agada executive. Thank you so much for your time on the show this afternoon. And just to say that we reached out to the other group and, of course, they didn't send a representative. Thank you so much, Mr. Iomu.
Thank you very much, Kayode.
Well, that's politics for you, particularly at the state level. But on the federal scale, which also concerns former governor, it was a day of revelations for the EFCC on its investigation of embattled former governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello. The chairman of the Anti-Graft Commission, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, revealed that among other infractions, the former governor took over $700,000 of state funds to pay for school fees for his children in advance. And the EFCC chairman made the revelations during an interactive engagement with senior journalists and select members of civil society in the nation's capital. He then frowned on what he described as obstruction of the arrest of Mr. Bello, promising that all those involved in the incident will be brought to book, and he vowed to drive the prosecution to a logical end. And staying with that, the State House of Assembly in Kogi State is asking the EFCC to vacate the wanted tag, which it placed on the name and the picture of Mr. Yahaya Bello. This formed part of the resolutions reached by the lawmakers during the House plenary following a matter of urgent public importance presented by a member representing the Ajaokuta State constituency in the House, Honorable Jibrin Abu. And in their resolutions, the lawmakers noted that the commission should not allow itself become a tool for political vendetta. Well, let's now bring you news just in from Rivers State. Well, yesterday, the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, implemented a minor cabinet reshuffle in the state, changing the positions previously held by the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice, Professor Zaccheaus Adango, and the Commissioner for Finance, Isaac Kamalu. Now, in that particular decision, Professor Adango was redeployed to now head the Ministry of Special Duties. But it would appear that has since changed now because Professor Zaccheaus Adango, who's been redeployed to the Ministry of Special Duties, has rejected that redeployment and resigned. In that notice of rejection of a deployment and resignation from River State Executive Council, Professor Adango said his attention was drawn to the letter dated April the 23rd, widely circulated on social media, whereby he was redeployed to the Ministry of Special Duties in the governor's office. And said further to that letter, he's given his notice of rejection of the redeployment and is resigning from the River State Executive Council with effect from today. He said further that he wishes to state on record that he's no longer willing to continue to serve in the administration of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of River State in any capacity whatsoever. He also adds that it's important to mention that in the past couple of weeks, the governor had interfered with the performance of his duties as the Attorney General of the state. And he says the governor did this allegedly by directing him not to defend, oppose, or appear in suits instituted against the Honorable Attorney General and the government of River State by persons admittedly hired and sponsored by the government of River State. So this is the latest page in the political intrigues coming out of River State. Stay with Channels Television as we'll bring you all of the latest happenings, not just in River State, but across the country as it concerns politics and governance. But that's the show for this afternoon, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikele. Goodbye.